RMJ Movie Reviews back again with an on-the-fly movie review on this very toasty 90-degree day of All Eyes on Me. The loose, and I use that term loose, biography of Tupac Shakur, former rapper and actor. Uh, um, okay, like I always gotta digress, guys. You guys know how I do it. I was a preteen going into my teenage years as Tupac was rising. As those of you know, I do have a movie review on my channel for Juice, one of Tupac's first starring roles from 1992, Ernest Dickerson's film. Omar Epps also stars in that movie. Samuel Jackson co-stars in that. I saw Juice theatrically when it was released in 1992. Matter of fact, we saw it opening weekend. It was a big crowded theater. I love Juice. I love Tupac's performance in Juice. Tupac Shakur was a great actor. He was really, had he not been murdered, he was on his way up to do some great things and he was an actual actor. He was not a rapper turned actor. He was a theater trained actor. He was trained in drama school, so Tupac was an actor. So I know the beginning of Tupac all the way until his end in 1996. When Tupac was murdered, I had just started my freshman year of high school. Matter of fact, Tupac was murdered a month before my 15th birthday. And I did see the news. I saw that Sorry Tyson fight, which was a horrible fight. I think that was when Tyson fought Bruce Seldon. I think somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Horrible. Anyway, that was when Tyson had just gotten out of jail, so all those fights were horrible. Tupac was on death row. I remember the whole East Coast West Coast thing, all that until his demise. I, like everybody else, I was devastated when Tupac was murdered. It just really sucked. You know, I really wish he was still here. Okay, so now I gave you my background and what I know of Tupac. Now let's go into the film. This is not a good film. This is not a good film at all, and I'm going to shred this thing apart. I'm not being biased at all because I am a Tupac fan. This is just not good. This is not good. I read a couple of reviews that said the film wasn't good, but I said, you know what? I still want to check it out anyway and give my own feelings on it, because sometimes I disagree with critics and sometimes I disagree with other fans, and I just wanted to see this is not good. I'm going to tell you number one reason. Well, it's not the number one reason. There are many reasons why this movie is not good. Number one, I'm going to go right into how this story is told. This movie is basically Cliff Notes of Tupac Shakur's life. I don't really feel like I learned anything new about Tupac that has not been said in, I think it was that documentary that came out a couple years ago, Tupac Resurrection, or the many of number of books and VH1 music specials that have already been told about Tupac. Matter of fact, the VH1 specials, MTV specials, every special or book, documentary, or stuff that came out pre-internet and during the beginning of the internet and pre-streaming, during cable, all that stuff is way better than this film, and you all will be better off watching. Matter of fact, you'll be better off watching the VH1 music documentary special they used to air back in the mid 2000s. I don't think they do them anymore. I don't know. I don't have cable anymore. But when VH1 used to do those were way better than this movie. This movie has nothing new to offer about Tupac that we don't know already, and to my understanding, I think some things are spent and turned and tweaked a little bit, which they do in films. I get that, but this just isn't good. I would call it Cliff Notes, fictionalized best of Tupac is what I'd call this movie, because it plays all the tropes. It plays almost every single one of his popular songs that we all know. Brenda's Got a Baby. It talks about when he did, he was on Digital Underground, Humpty Dance, I Get Around, California Love, Machiavelli, Keep Your Head Up. It plays all the songs that we all remember who grew up with Tupac, and all the songs we love. But that's just window dressing. It ain't doing nothing for me. What I loved about Straight Outta Compton was that Straight Outta Compton, although again tweaked and twisted things a little bit and made things a little movie-ish, it did have all the trademark songs and everything that people who grew up with NWA remember, but it actually told the story well. This does not tell the story well. First of all, the beginnings of Tupac's life are just poof, 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 just went on through, and they kind of do Tupac's prison interview when he was convicted of rape, and how he was doing all those interviews, and they kind of try to wrap that interview around the first part of the movie. That'd really be more like the first and second act, and then the third act, which is basically once he got out of prison and once he was with Death Row, basically before his death. That's what is flatly told. But the beginning half of the movie is just bam, 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 and it's just going through. We don't get to know anybody. The best thing I can tell you is done about this movie is the lighting, the music, because they're playing all songs that, they play R. Kelly, Public Announcement, R. Kelly, Honey Love, they play that. They play some SWV. They play any number of early 90s R&B rap songs that were popular of the day that I love and all the rest of us love who grew up on that stuff. Of course, we watch it and we go, oh, we sing along because it's meant to butter us up to get us to ignore the fact that this movie is not good. So, and then I will say the attention to detail with the late 80s, with the 80s and the early 90s haircuts, with the box haircuts in the parts, of which the kids are trying to bring back now. I don't know why. They shouldn't. It should have stayed gone. But I love that attention to detail, kind of like the things like the early 90s wardrobe is that attention to detail. Tupac wearing a starter hat. You see a couple of people with the old school Raiders. Ice-T used to wear a lot of Raiders logo back then. Raiders was a big thing. You used to get jumped, and your starter coach used to get stolen back then in the mid-90s, which is hilarious now. But I love those little tweaks and attention to detail. But outside of the cinematography, the music, and the costume design, this movie has absolutely nothing to offer. Let me go in on the acting. Aside from the story just not being told well, the acting is subpar. And I'm going to go in on the acting. The acting in this thing is borderline atrocious. I'm going to be even much more hardcore. I'm going to be very mean, and I will even say the acting in this, some of it, not through everybody. This is just my opinion as a viewer. Some of the acting is borderline like Master P movies from the late 90s, like Hot Boys movies. And I mean that. Some of it is really bad. And the guy who's playing Tupac, which is Demetrius, I can't remember his last name. Here's the deal. He really looks like Tupac. He really does. He looks like Tupac. The issue I have with the film is that one of the reasons we're being told this movie about Tupac is because Tupac was he was a very charismatic, alluring, he was a complex person. He was very passionate. He was so passionate that his ego would override his thinking, which I think is what got him killed. He was so passionate, and he was very stubborn. Tupac would kind of get on one thing, and his belief would be so strong, you could not deter him from what he was. That was his strength and his weakness about Tupac. And that complexity of it. And I remember at the time when I used to see interviews with him, I used to be so confused. Like, he would say like these very powerful things about like helping out black people and helping out the poor. And then he turned around and like the interviewer who I will say one of the best performances in this film is from Hill Harper, who's the interviewing Pac in jail. Now those two together have some really fantastic scene. There's a really fantastic scene where he challenges Tupac, and he goes, well, you talking about black love and this and that, but you talking about, bitches and hoes. And I love that scene. Hill Harper very subtly challenges him, like in that what's his name from 60 Minutes? Is it Ed Bradley? The Bradley dude who interviewed Michael Jackson, but he plays it very, very subtly. It's not like, no, you talking about, it's just very subtly like, hold on, brother, you know what I mean? You talking about black love, but you talking about bitches and hoes. I'm not understanding where you comes at him very maturely. And I will say, and the actor who portrays Tupac came back and played that moment very good. I love that moment. I thought that was a fantastic moment. I think had the film had more moments of that, where it just sat back and just let the acting take. But as it states, the movie is choppy. It's just cliff notes of stuff that we already know, and it's not well done. And like I said, the guy looks like Tupac, but that's it. He does not contain what I've honestly, and this I felt like I was watching, like when you go to Las Vegas and you see an Elvis impersonator. That's what I feel this entire performance was just an impersonation of Tupac. And the reason I'm being so hard on the acting is because Tupac was such a great actor in his own right, and he was such a presence. This actor does not contain any of that what Tupac has. Therein lies the problem of making a film about Tupac. Tupac was such a complex, strong, alluring, contradictory personality that to come out with a mediocre, slapshot, BET Hot Boys No Limit type of movie that this is, I think is just really John Singleton. I saw him do an interview on the Breakfast Club. He kind of alluded to the quality of the movie, and John Singleton was right. John Singleton should have did this movie. John Singleton would have knocked this out the park, or they should have just rehired F. Gary Gray to do another one of these. But as it stands, the acting in this is very atrocious. It's ham-handed. The guy who's playing Tupac is very forceful in his performance. He's forcing everything. There's times when he's over. Now, here's the thing. I do understand that. I do remember from all the interviews when I saw Tupac. Tupac was a very aggressive, he would jump around. He was very, ADD-ish, But you have to understand when you turn a movie into a film, some of that has to be toned down a little bit. And there's a lot of scenes where he's jumping around, and it almost looks like it was hard to cut around him sometimes. And I get it, he was doing Tupac, but I think part of that lies in the problem is that it seemed to me that he was not becoming Tupac to me. He was imitating Tupac. That's how I felt about his performance. As opposed to and I felt like everybody in this film was really just imitating people. I didn't feel like I was feeling characters. I felt like everybody, like the guy who played Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton, I felt like he was Eazy-E in that movie. This here, I don't feel any of that. The performance from the guy who played Suge Knight, although he looks very intimidating, I think the guy who played him in Straight Outta Compton was better. There was much more menace. There was much more going on. This here, all the actors to me just felt like they were reading their lines off a piece of paper to me. Clifton, and there are some vets that pop up in here. Clifton Powell, Cuddy from Dead Presidents, Menace to Society, come by about 10:30. Don't ever bite the hand that feeds you. He delivers a good monologue. I mean, he's a great actor. He brings it. There's a couple of other vets that pop up here and there. And there's actually a couple of actors. I can't remember when Tupac got shot in real life. I can't remember. There's kind of a rapper who's I'm not very familiar with, but I saw him on some MTV show who plays You a Movie Gangster. His intensity is pretty good in that scene where they rob it, and I do think that was a very creepy moment that really showed the fear of when you being stuck up for real. When you being stuck up for real, it's not like Charles Bronson or Steven Seagal, Hard to Kill. When somebody sticks a gun in your face, it is a crazy fool who will kill you. And I love that. I think that moment did play the real terror of what you would feel like if you had a gun in your face and you were being robbed in real life. It played that terror very well. I thought that scene was good. This is just a bad movie. It's not good, and it's 2 hours and like 20 minutes. It's all fluff. There's scenes where they really extend a lot of Tupac songs, which I'm all fine for, but it's just that you're just trying to fluff me up and make me forget about the fact that everything else it isn't that good. It's just not. And I'm being hard on the film because Tupac was such a personality. He brought so much to his acting. Oh, let me not talk about this. There's a couple parts in the movie where they recreate scenes from Tupac's movies. Good Lord have mercy. When they recreate the locker scene from Juice, you know what? I am crazy. Everybody who saw Juice, everybody who remembers Juice, that's a chilling scene. Tupac's complete insanity in that scene is brilliant. That scene is imitated by a lot of black actors. It's a great scene. Tupac and Omar Epps killed it in that scene. And the way it's imitated in this movie, I can honestly tell you, I do not know if they wanted it to come off cheesy, but the way it's imitated in this movie, it honestly comes off like something you would have saw in Living Color in the early 90s, like a spoof. Like when on In Living Color, when they spoofed Home Alone, or when they used to spoof Michael Jackson, it comes off very much amateurish. It's just, oh my God. I literally was in the theater just like shaking my head. Like, it was so bad. I was like, oh my God. And there's a couple of other scenes that they recreate. They recreate the scene from Above the Rim with Leon at the gravesite. Bad, not good. It's a horrible movie. I'm sad to say. I'm sad to admit it. And it's so long. And it got it. And I could see the audience was feeling the same way too, because in the theater people started, shuffling. A couple times I saw people's phones lighting up here and there. John Singleton was right. I know John Singleton on that radio show. He wanted to go right in and just slam it, as he should, because this is not good. And I'm not gonna go so far as to say it's disrespectful to Tupac's memory. It ain't that serious. But this is definitely a slap shot, not well done compliment to somebody who I think deserved a much better film adaptation than this. You guys, save your money. Go watch one of the VH1 specials or one of the biography specials you could just get at the library. And then to add insult to injury, the movie ends with a couple of cliff notes of real interviews of Tupac. And the minute you see the real Tupac come on screen, it's just like, I'd rather just sit down and just watch 2 hours of Tupac interviews. For a matter of fact, I watched about 15 minutes worth of interviews before I went and saw this movie, I think 2 days ago, of Tupac. And the complexity in his interviews, just so much what was going on underneath with him, with his emotions. Just, there was a lot going on there. And I think the movie should have reflected the complexity of Tupac. But as this stands, this is a slap shot. This is pretty close to a late 80s, early 90s movie of the week style thing. That's what it feels like. Very ham-handed, underwhelming, choppy, amateurishly acted. Not good. That's my opinion on All Eyez on Me. I'm very disappointed. I was really expecting a lot from this film, and I just was just. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, hit the little bell so you can be notified when I have new videos. And you guys who were fans of Tupac, who saw the film, give me your opinion on what you thought of it. I was just extremely hurt and disappointed by this film. Just John Singleton was right. Garbage, man. Garbage. RMJ Moore Reviews. I'll see you soon.